"Linda, honey, can you come here for a second?" My mother's voice floated up the stairs, an unusual tremor in her tone that made me pause. I set down the laundry basket and headed downstairs, my heart quickening with each step. In the living room, Mom sat on the edge of the sofa, her hands clasped tightly in her lap. Dad stood by the window, his back to us, tension visible in the set of his shoulders. "What's going on?" I asked, glancing between them. Mom patted the seat beside her. "Sit down, sweetie. There's something we need to show you." I lowered myself onto the couch, a chill creeping up my spine. Dad turned, a manila envelope in his hands. He hesitated, then held it out to me. "These arrived in the mail today," he said, his voice gruff. "No return address." With trembling fingers, I opened the envelope and slid out a stack of glossy photographs. The first one made my breath catch in my throat. Sam, my husband, with his arm around Alice, my best friend and sister-in-law. They were laughing, heads close together, looking far too intimate for comfort. "There's more," Mom whispered, squeezing my hand. I flipped through the photos, each one a fresh blow to my heart. Sam and Alice at a restaurant, holding hands across the table. The two of them entering a hotel together. A kiss in the shadows of a parking garage. "No," I murmured, shaking my head. "This can't be real." Dad cleared his throat. "Linda, we wouldn't have shown you these if we weren't certain. The timestamps, the locations, it all checks out." I stood abruptly, the photos scattering across the floor. "I need to talk to Sam." "Honey, wait," Mom said, reaching for me. "You need to think this through. Don't confront him without a plan." But I was already moving, fumbling for my phone. Sam answered on the third ring. "Hey, babe. What's up?" His casual tone sent a surge of anger through me. "Where are you right now?" A pause. "At work." "Why?" "With Alice." Another pause, longer this time. "What are you talking about?" "Don't lie to me, Sam," I hissed. "I've seen the photos. You and Alice together. How long has this been going on?" "Linda, I can explain dash." "Save it." I cut him off. "I want you out of the house by the time I get home. And don't even think about seeing Erica until we've talked." I ended the call and turned back to my parents, tears blurring my vision. Mom enveloped me in a hug, and Dad's hand came to rest on my shoulder. "What am I going to do?" I whispered. "You're going to be strong," Dad said firmly. "For yourself and for Erica." Mom pulled back, cupping my face in her hands. "And we'll be here every step of the way. You're not alone in this, Linda." As the reality of the situation sank in, a steely resolve began to form in my chest. Sam and Alice had betrayed me, but I wouldn't let them destroy everything I'd built. "I need to pick up Erica from school," I said, wiping my eyes. "Then I'm going to start packing." Dad nodded approvingly. "That's my girl. Take control of the situation." As I gathered my things to leave, a thought struck me. Who sent those photos? And why now? Mom and Dad exchanged a look. "We don't know," Mom admitted. "But whoever it was, they've given you the truth. What you do with it is up to you." I squared my shoulders and headed for the door, my mind already racing with plans and possibilities. One thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The next morning, I woke with a sense of dread weighing on my chest. Sam hadn't come home last night, and Erica had asked about him at bedtime. I'd mumbled something about a work emergency, hating myself for the lie. I padded downstairs, rubbing sleep from my eyes, and froze at the sight of our empty living room. Sam's favorite armchair was gone, along with his books and the vintage record player he'd inherited from his grandfather. A note lay on the coffee table. "Linda, I'm staying with Alice for now. We need to talk." "Sam." My hands shook as I crumpled the note. How dare he act like this was a simple misunderstanding? I grabbed my phone, ready to unleash my fury, when a notification caught my eye. Our joint savings account. With growing horror, I logged into our banking app. The balance that should have held our life savings, the cushion we'd built for emergencies in Erica's future, now showed a big, glaring zero. "No, no, no," I muttered, frantically scrolling through the transaction history. There it was, a massive transfer made yesterday afternoon, right after our phone call. The recipient? Alice Thompson. The room spun. I gripped the edge of the table, struggling to breathe. They hadn't just betrayed my trust. They'd stolen our future. My phone buzzed, Mom calling. I answered, my voice barely a whisper. Linda? Are you all right? We haven't heard from you since yesterday. Mom! I choked out. They took everything. What? Who took what, honey? Sam and Alice. Our savings account, it's empty. He transferred it all to her yesterday. There was a sharp intake of breath on the other end. Oh, Linda. I'm so sorry. Your father and I are coming over right now. I ended the call and sank onto the couch, mind racing. How would I pay the mortgage? Erica's school fees? The thought of my daughter jolted me back to reality. I needed to stay strong for her. I was halfway up the stairs when the doorbell rang. Expecting my parents, I yanked it open, only to find Patricia, Sam's mother, on the porch. Linda, dear, she said, pushing past me into the house. What's this nonsense about you and Sam separating? Alice called me in tears this morning. I gaped at her, fury rising in my throat. Nonsense? Your son and your daughter have been having an affair behind my back. And now they've cleaned out our savings account. Patricia's eyes narrowed. Now, Linda, let's not be hasty. I'm sure there's a perfectly reasonable explanation. Sam would never dash. I saw the pictures, Patricia. I snapped. And the bank statements don't lie. Your precious son and daughter are thieves as well as cheaters. She drew herself up, lips pursed. Well, I never. Perhaps if you'd been a better wife, Sam wouldn't have been driven to dash. Get out. My voice was low and dangerous. Get out of my house right now. Patricia huffed and turned on her heel. At the door, she paused. This isn't over, Linda. You can't keep my son from his child. As she stormed off, I saw my parents' car pulling up. Dad's face darkened as he caught sight of Patricia. What was she doing here? He demanded as they hurried inside. Defending her precious children, I said bitterly. Mom, Dad, I don't know what to do. They've taken everything. Mom wrapped me in a hug while Dad paced, his jaw clenched. We'll figure this out, sweetheart, Mom soothed. First things first, we need to talk to a lawyer. Dad nodded grimly. I'll make some calls. Linda, you focus on Erica. We're not letting them get away with this. As if on cue, Erica's voice drifted down the stairs. Mommy, where's Daddy? I took a deep breath, squaring my shoulders. The road ahead would be hard, but I had to be strong. For Erica and for myself. Sam and Alice had declared war, and I was ready to fight back. The lawyer's office felt cold and impersonal as I sat across from Sam, my hands clenched tightly in my lap. Our mediator, a stern-faced woman named Ms. Reeves, glanced between us. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson, let's discuss the matter of your joint savings account, she began. I couldn't help but scoff. What's there to discuss? He emptied it without my knowledge or consent. Sam leaned forward, his face a mask of false concern. Linda, I know you're upset, but you have to understand. I did this for us, for our future. Our future. I sputtered. You mean your future with Alice? Ms. Reeves held up a hand. Let's stay focused. Mr. Thompson, can you explain the reason for the transfer? Sam straightened his tie, all business now. Of course. I've been working on a startup with Alice for months. It's a revolutionary app that's going to change the way people shop. We needed capital to get it off the ground, and I knew Linda would never agree. She's always been controlling when it comes to our finances. The accusation stung, but I refused to let him see how much. Controlling? Because I didn't want you gambling away our daughter's college fund on some half-baked scheme. It's not a scheme, Sam snapped. Alice and I have put everything into this. If you just listen to me instead of always assuming the worst dash. Assuming the worst? I cut him off. You were sneaking around with my best friend. How else was I supposed to take that? Ms. Reeves cleared her throat. Mr. Thompson, regardless of your intentions, Transferring funds from a joint account without your spouse's knowledge is a serious matter. Mrs. Thompson has grounds for legal action. Sam's face paled slightly. Come on, Linda. You wouldn't do that to me, to us. Think about Erica. I am thinking about Erica, I said, my voice trembling with anger. I'm thinking about how I'm going to provide for her now that you've stolen everything we saved. I didn't steal it. Sam slammed his hand on the table. I invested it in our future. If you just give me a chance to explain. Explain what? I stood up, unable to contain myself any longer. How you've been lying to me for months. How you and Alice laughed behind my back while you planned to run off with our money. Sam stood too, his face flushed. You want to know the truth? Fine. I left because I couldn't stand your constant nagging, your suspicion. Alice understands me in a way you never did. The words hit me like a physical blow. I stumbled back, tears pricking at my eyes. How dare you? I whispered. After everything we've been through together. Ms. Reeves intervened. I think we should take a break. We'll reconvene in 15 minutes. I fled the room, finding a quiet corner in the hallway. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom asking how it was going. I couldn't bring myself to respond. Footsteps approached, and I looked up to see Alice standing there. Her expression a mix of guilt and defiance. Linda, she began. Don't. I cut her off. You were my best friend, Alice. How could you do this? She had the grace to look ashamed. It wasn't planned. Sam and we just connected. The business brought us closer and I held up a hand. Save it. I don't want to hear your excuses. Alice's face hardened. Fine. But you should know, the app is going to be huge. Sam and I are going to make millions. You could have been a part of it if you weren't so stubborn. As she walked away, her words echoed in my head. Millions? What if they were right? What if I'd pushed Sam away with my caution, my practicality? No. I shook my head, steeling myself. They'd betrayed me, lied to me. No amount of money could justify that. Taking a deep breath, I straightened my shoulders and headed back to the mediation room. It was time to fight for what was rightfully mine and Erica's. I sat at my parents' kitchen table, my hands wrapped around a mug of tea that had long since gone cold. Mom and Dad exchanged worried glances as I recounted the disastrous mediation session. I just can't believe it, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Sam, Alice, they've taken everything. Our savings, our future, my trust. Dad's fist clenched on the table. We'll fight this, Linda. What they've done is illegal, not to mention morally reprehensible. Mom reached out, covering my hand with hers. Honey, we're here for you. Whatever you need. I nodded, grateful for their support, but feeling hollowed out inside. I don't even know where to start. The lawyer says we have a case, but it could take months, maybe years. And in the meantime, the doorbell rang, interrupting my train of thought. Dad went to answer it, and I heard muffled voices in the hallway. A moment later, he returned, his face grim. Linda, it's Patricia. She's demanding to see you. My heart sank. The last thing I needed was another confrontation with Sam's mother. But as I stood to face her, Patricia burst into the kitchen, her eyes blazing. How dare you? She spat. How dare you try to ruin my son's life with these vicious lies? I stared at her, stunned. Lies? Patricia, there's photographic evidence of Sam and Alice together. Not to mention the bank statements. Oh, please, she scoffed. A few friendly outings, blown out of proportion by your paranoia. And as for the money, Sam has every right to invest in his future. You've been holding him back for years with your penny-pinching ways. The injustice of it all hit me like a physical blow. Holding him back? I supported him through law school. I put my own career on hold to raise Erica while he chased his ambitions. And this is how he repays me. Patricia's face softened into a look of false sympathy. Oh, Linda, can't you see? If you'd just been a better wife, more understanding of Sam's needs, none of this would have happened. Something inside me snapped. Get out, I said, my voice low and dangerous. Get out of this house right now, or I swear I'll dash. You'll what? Patricia sneered. Face it, Linda. You've lost. Sam and Alice are going to build an empire, and you'll be left with nothing. Unless. I narrowed my eyes. Unless what? Unless you come to your senses. Drop this ridiculous lawsuit. Let Sam have joint custody of Erica. If you do, I'm sure we can come to some financial arrangement. For a moment, I was tempted. The thought of financial security, of not having to start over from scratch, was alluring. But then I thought of Erica, of the example I'd be setting by giving in to their manipulation. No, I said firmly. No deal. I won't be bought, and I won't let you use my daughter as a bargaining chip. Patricia's face hardened. You'll regret this, Linda. We'll bury you in legal fees. You'll never see a penny of that money. As she stormed out, slamming the door behind her, I sank back into my chair, trembling. Mom wrapped her arms around me. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so proud of you. Dad nodded, his eyes shining with a mix of anger and admiration. You did the right thing, Linda. We'll find a way through this, I promise. I took a deep breath, feeling a strange sense of calm settle over me. You're right. I'm done being the victim in this story. It's time to take control. I stood up, my mind racing with possibilities. I need to make some calls. It's time to fight fire with fire. As I reached for my phone, I felt a surge of determination. Sam and Alice might have started this war, but I was going to finish it. And I was going to win, not just for myself, but for Erica and for every person who'd ever been betrayed by those they trusted most. The battle was just beginning, and I was ready. The next few weeks passed in a blur of activity. I threw myself into planning our escape, determined to start fresh with Erica. Every spare moment was spent job hunting, apartment searching, and quietly making arrangements for our new life. One afternoon, as I sat at the kitchen table poring over apartment listings, my phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. Hello, I answered cautiously. Is this Linda Thompson? A woman's voice asked. Yes, who's this? My name is Rachel. I think we need to talk about Sam and Alice. My heart raced. What about them? Rachel took a deep breath. I work at their startup. Or I did until last week. Linda, there's something you need to know. The app, the business, it's all a scam. I gripped the phone tighter. What do you mean? They've been using the investor money for personal expenses. Fancy dinners, trips, you name it. There's no real product. I confronted Sam about it, and he fired me on the spot. My mind reeled. It was worse than I'd imagined. Rachel, thank you for telling me this. Would you be willing to go on record with this information? Yes, I think so. They can't get away with this. After ending the call, I sat in stunned silence. Then, with shaking hands, I dialed my lawyer. An hour later, armed with this new information, I felt a glimmer of hope. We had a real chance of recovering the money now. But as I hung up with the lawyer, I heard the front door open. Mommy, Erica called. We're home. My blood ran cold. I'd lost track of time. Sam wasn't supposed to pick her up today. I hurried to the entryway where Sam stood with Erica, a too bright smile on his face. Hey, Linda, he said casually. Thought I'd surprise our girl with some daddy-daughter time. Erica beamed up at him, and my heart ached. How could I tell her the truth about her father? Erica, sweetie, why don't you go play in your room for a bit? I suggested, keeping my voice light. Once she was upstairs, I turned to Sam, fury bubbling up inside me. What are you doing here? His smile faltered. I miss her, Linda. You can't keep me from my daughter. Watch me, I hissed. I know about the scam, Sam. Rachel told me everything. The color drained from his face. Linda, it's not what you think, dash. Save it. I cut him off. I'm done with your lies. We're leaving, Sam. Erica and I are starting over, away from you and your toxic family. Sam's expression hardened. You can't do that. I'll fight you for custody. With what money? I shot back. Once the investors find out what you've done, you'll be lucky to stay out of jail. He stepped closer, his voice low and dangerous. "Don't threaten me, Linda. You have no idea what I'm capable of." Fear prickled along my spine, but I stood my ground. "Get out, Sam. Now, before I call the police." For a moment I thought he might refuse. Then, with a final glare, he turned and stormed out. I leaned against the wall, my legs shaky. The confrontation had made one thing crystal clear. We needed to leave, and soon. Sam was unpredictable, possibly dangerous. We couldn't risk staying any longer. Taking a deep breath, I climbed the stairs to Erica's room. My heart broke at the sight of her playing happily, unaware of the turmoil around her. "Hey, sweetie," I said, forcing a smile. "How would you like to go on a little adventure with Mommy?" Erica looked up, her eyes shining. "An adventure? Where?" I sat beside her, pulling her close. "Somewhere new. Somewhere safe. Just you and me." As Erica chattered excitedly about our adventure, I made a silent vow. We would leave tonight, while Sam was still reeling from the confrontation. It was risky, but staying was riskier. I kissed the top of Erica's head, steeling myself for what lay ahead. Our new life awaited, and nothing, not Sam, not Alice, not anyone, was going to stand in our way. The pre-dawn darkness cloaked our movements as I loaded the last of our bags into the car. Erica, still drowsy, clutched her favorite stuffed animal as she climbed into the back seat. "Remember, sweetie," I whispered, "this is our secret adventure. We can't tell anyone where we're going, okay?" She nodded solemnly, her eyes wide with a mix of excitement and uncertainty. My heart ached, knowing the upheaval I was putting her through, but I steeled myself. This was necessary. This was survival. As I slid into the driver's seat, my phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "Where are you? We need to talk." I ignored it, my hands shaking slightly as I started the engine. We had to move fast. Sam's business trip with Alice was supposed to last another day, but after our confrontation, I couldn't risk him coming back early. We were halfway down the street when headlights appeared in my rearview mirror. A car was approaching rapidly, and my stomach dropped as I recognized Sam's SUV. "Mommy!" Erica's voice quavered from the back seat. "Is that Daddy?" "It's okay, honey," I said, trying to keep my voice calm as I accelerated. "Everything's fine." But it wasn't fine. Sam was gaining on us, honking his horn. I took a sharp turn, hoping to lose him, but he stayed right on our tail. My phone started ringing incessantly, Sam, then Alice, then Patricia. I silenced it, focusing on the road ahead. We just needed to make it to the highway. Once we were out of town, we'd be safe. Suddenly, Sam's SUV pulled alongside us. I could see his face, contorted with anger, as he shouted something I couldn't hear. He swerved towards us, trying to force us off the road. Erica screamed, and I gripped the wheel tighter, my heart pounding. "Hold on, baby." I called back to her as I swerved to avoid Sam's aggressive maneuver. In that moment of distraction, I didn't see the red light. Horns blared as we entered the intersection, and I slammed on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. Sam wasn't so lucky. His SUV clipped the back of a passing truck, sending him spinning across the road. I watched in horror as his vehicle came to a crashing halt against a streetlight. For a moment, everything was still. "Linda!" Sam's voice, pained and panicked, cut through the night. "Linda, help me." Every instinct screamed at me to keep driving, to get Erica to safety. But I couldn't leave him like this, no matter what he'd done. "Stay here," I told Erica firmly. "Lock the doors and don't open them for anyone but me." I approached Sam's crumpled SUV cautiously. He was slumped over the wheel, a gash on his forehead bleeding freely. "Sam!" I called. "Can you hear me?" He groaned, lifting his head slightly. "Linda! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. I knew I should leave, that every moment I stayed put our escape at risk. But as I looked at Sam, battered and remorseful, I felt a wave of conflicting emotions wash over me. "Why, Sam?" I asked, my voice breaking. "Why did you do all this?" He met my eyes, his own filled with pain and regret. "I was scared," he whispered. Scared of failing, of not being enough. Alice made me feel invincible. But it was all a lie. The sirens were almost upon us now. I had seconds to decide. Stay and face the consequences of this night, or flee with Erica towards an uncertain future. As I stood there, torn between my past and my future, I realized that this moment would define everything that came after. Whatever I chose, there would be no going back. The flashing lights of emergency vehicles illuminated the street. Time was up. I had to make my choice. The days following our escape blurred together in a haze of anxiety and exhaustion. Erica and I settled into our new apartment, a small, bare-bones place that felt more like a fortress than a home. I'd turned off my phone, unable to bear the constant barrage of calls and messages from Sam, Alice, and Patricia. One morning, as I was making breakfast, a knock at the door sent my heart racing. I peered through the peephole, relief washing over me as I recognized my father's face. "Dad," I breathed, opening the door. "What are you doing here?" He stepped inside, his expression grave. "Linda, we need to talk. It's about Sam." My stomach dropped. "What's happened?" Dad glanced at Erica, who was watching cartoons in the living room. Lowering his voice, he said, "Sam's in the hospital. The accident. It was worse than we thought. He's asking for you." I shook my head, anger bubbling up. "No, I'm not going back there. He made his choice." "Honey," Dad said gently, "I know he hurt you. But there's more. The police are investigating the startup. They want to talk to you about the missing money." My legs felt weak. I sank into a chair, my mind reeling. But I didn't know anything about it. I was a victim too. Dad nodded. "I know that, and so does your lawyer. But Linda, if you don't cooperate, they might start looking at you as an accomplice." Just then my burner phone rang. An unknown number. With shaking hands, I answered. "Linda." It was Alice, her voice thick with tears. "Please don't hang up. I need your help." "You've got some nerve, Dash." I started, but she cut me off. I know. I'm horrible. But Linda, they're saying Sam might not make it. And the police. They're talking about fraud charges. I didn't know it would go this far, I swear. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of everything pressing down on me. "What do you want from me, Alice?" "Come to the hospital," she pleaded. "Talk to Sam. Maybe if we all explain together, they'll understand it was just a mistake." A bitter laugh escaped me. "A mistake? You stole our life savings, destroyed my marriage, and now you want me to help you." There was a pause, then Alice's voice came back, small and broken. "I'm pregnant, Linda. It's Sam's baby." The world tilted on its axis. I gripped the edge of the table, struggling to breathe. Dad was at my side in an instant, concern etched on his face. "Linda? What is it?" I couldn't speak, couldn't think. Everything I'd fought for, everything I'd sacrificed to get away, was crumbling around me. "Mommy!" Erica's voice cut through the chaos in my mind. She stood in the doorway, her eyes wide with worry. "Are you okay?" In that moment, looking at my daughter, I felt a surge of determination. No matter what happened, I had to protect her, had to be strong for her. "I'm fine, sweetie," I managed, forcing a smile. "Mommy just needs to take care of something important." I turned back to the phone. "Alice, listen carefully. I'll come to the hospital, but not to help you or Sam. I'm going to tell the police everything I know. And then I'm done with all of you. For good." As I ended the call, Dad squeezed my shoulder. "Are you sure about this?" I nodded, a strange calm settling over me. "It's time to end this once and for all." Gathering Erica close, I kissed the top of her head. "We're going on another little trip, honey. But I promise when we come back, everything will be better." As we prepared to leave, I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice. Whatever happened at the hospital would change our lives forever. But for the first time in months, I wasn't afraid. I was ready to face whatever came next head-on. 6 months had passed since that fateful day at the hospital. As I stood in our new backyard, watching Erica chase butterflies, I marveled at how much had changed. The confrontation at the hospital had been brutal. Sam, pale and broken in his hospital bed, had begged for forgiveness. Alice, her pregnancy now visible, had sobbed uncontrollably. But I had stood firm, telling the police everything I knew about their fraudulent business scheme. In the end, Sam had been charged with fraud and embezzlement. Alice, deemed an accomplice, faced lesser charges. Patricia had disowned me, blaming me for her son's downfall. But I didn't care anymore. I was free. "Mommy, look," Erica called, holding up a vibrant butterfly perched on her finger. Her smile, so pure and untainted by the drama of the past year, filled my heart with joy. "It's beautiful, sweetie," I said, kneeling beside her. "Just like you." As the butterfly fluttered away, I heard the sound of a car pulling into our driveway. My parents had arrived for our weekly Sunday dinner. "Grandma! Grandpa!" Erica squealed, running to greet them. I followed, hugging them both tightly. "Thanks for coming," I said. Mom squeezed my hand. "We wouldn't miss it for the world, honey." As we settled around the dinner table, the conversation flowed easily. We talked about Erica's progress in her new school, my promotion at work, and Dad's latest hobby. The weight of secrets and lies that had burdened our family gatherings for so long was gone. After dinner, as Erica showed her grandparents her latest art project, I slipped outside for a moment of quiet reflection. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of pink and gold, a fitting backdrop for the sense of peace that had finally settled over me. A text message buzzed on my phone. It was from Rachel, Sam and Alice's former employee who had blown the whistle on their scheme. "Thought you'd want to know, Sam took a plea deal. 5 years. Alice got probation. The investors are getting most of their money back." I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding. It was over. Really, truly over. As I typed a quick thank you to Rachel, another message came through. This one from an unexpected source. "Alice, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I needed to say this. I'm sorry, Linda, for everything. What we did to you was unforgivable. I hope someday you can find it in your heart to let go of the anger. Not for me, but for yourself. You deserve peace." I stared at the message, a whirlwind of emotions swirling inside me. Anger, hurt, and surprisingly, a glimmer of compassion. Alice was right. I did deserve peace. And holding on to that anger was only hurting me. With a deep breath, I typed out a response. "Thank you for the apology. I'm not ready to forgive, but I'm ready to move on. I hope you find peace too." As I hit send, I felt a weight lift from my shoulders, the last chains of my past falling away. "Mom!" Erica's voice called from inside. "Are you coming? Grandpa's about to tell the funny story about the raccoon again." I smiled, pocketing my phone. "Coming, sweetie." As I walked back into the house, into the warmth of laughter and love, I felt a profound sense of gratitude wash over me. The road had been hard, filled with betrayal and heartache. But it had led me here, to this moment of genuine happiness and hope. Sam, Alice, Patricia, they were chapters in my past now. Closed books on a shelf I no longer needed to revisit. The future stretched out before me, bright and full of possibility. And I was ready to embrace it, with Erica by my side and the unwavering support of my parents behind me. As I settled back at the table, joining in the laughter at Dad's familiar story, I knew in my heart that this right here, was my new beginning. And it was beautiful.